In this video, we'll look at the structure of the heart and the jobs of the different parts. I'll teach you 10 key words to use when describing the heart, and we'll look at the 4 main parts of the heart and the job of each part. So let's get started. If you're new here, welcome to BioSmash. I'm Jo, I'm a science teacher. I'll help you smash biology revision. I've broken the video up into chapters, so feel free to jump ahead if there's some bits you already understand. There's also a little quiz at the end so you can check how much you've remembered and understood. Before we can label a diagram of the heart, we need to understand its job. So let's look at that first. The heart's job is to pump blood around the body. Like all animals, humans need energy. Our bodies get energy through a process called respiration. As you watch this video, mitochondria inside your cells are carrying out a reaction in which glucose is broken down to release energy. This reaction is called respiration. I won't cover respiration in lots of detail in this video, but I have made a series of videos about respiration. I'll link them below in case it's helpful for you. For now, you just need to know that respiration is a chemical reaction that releases energy. Let's think about how your body gets the chemicals it needs to carry out respiration. Your body can get glucose by breaking down carbohydrates in the food that you eat. The glucose that's released in this process can be found in the small intestine. Oxygen enters the body when we breathe in. Oxygen can be found in the lungs. All of the cells of the body need oxygen and glucose so that they can carry out respiration. This means that the oxygen and glucose need transporting around the body to all of the different cells. Oxygen and glucose are transported through the blood in the circulatory system. And all of this happens because the heart is pumping the blood around the body. The blood will flow through the lungs to pick up oxygen. Oxygen molecules diffuse from the lungs into the blood. This process is actually a little bit more complicated than this and happens in the alveolus. I've made a video all about this, so I'll put the link below in case you'd like to watch it. We say that the blood has become oxygenated because it now contains lots of oxygen. I'll use the colour red to represent this. As the blood flows past the body cells, including muscle cells, molecules of oxygen diffuse from inside the blood into the muscle cells. Because oxygen has left the blood, we say that the blood has become deoxygenated, and I'll use the colour blue to represent this. Now, let's look at the circulatory system in more detail. As we've already discussed, lots of substances are being transported around your body through your blood. For the rest of this video, we're going to concentrate on just one of these substances, and that's oxygen. As we've already described, the blood needs to pick oxygen up from the lungs. The blood then carries this oxygen back to the heart, ready to give to the rest of the body. The heart then pumps the blood again with enough force to pump the blood all around the rest of the body to deliver the oxygen. The cells of the body take the oxygen out of the blood, so the blood then travels back to the heart, ready to collect some more oxygen. The heart obviously then needs to pump the blood back up to the lungs so that the blood can pick up some more oxygen. We call this a double circulatory system because it contains 2 loops. Give this video a thumbs up if you're starting to understand this topic better. Now that we understand the job of the heart and the role of the circulatory system, let's start to look at the structure of the heart. To help us to do this, I'm going to replace the heart with the diagram of a box divided into 2. So this box represents your heart. If you imagine you're a surgeon and this man is your patient lying on his back in front of you, this is his right-hand side. This is his left-hand side. So we can label the right and left-hand sides of the heart accordingly. The heart is actually formed of 4 separate compartments with space for blood to flow between them. Each of these compartments is called a chamber. We use the word atrium to describe the top 2 chambers of the heart. You might recognise the word atrium. It's a Latin word that describes the entrance hall in a building. The atria in a heart are like the entrance hall to the heart because this is where the blood enters first. We call them the right atrium and the left atrium, so we know which one is which. The bottom 2 chambers of the heart are called the ventricles, and when again we use the word right and left to distinguish between them. So on each side of the heart, the blood enters into the atrium. It then flows down into the ventricle and leaves through a hole in the wall. Let's look in more detail at the flow of blood through the heart. I've added a diagram of the lungs above the heart and the cells of the body below the heart. The right-hand side of the heart deals with deoxygenated blood, so I'm going to show this in blue. And oxygenated blood is found in the left-hand side of the heart, which I've shown in red. So, as deoxygenated blood needs oxygen, the right-hand side of the heart pumps blood up to the lungs. Oxygen is added to the blood, making it oxygenated in red, and that flows back to the left-hand side of the heart. The left-hand side of the heart then pumps the blood off to the cells of the body. The body cells remove oxygen from the blood, leaving it as blue, deoxygenated blood, which goes back to the right-hand side of the heart. And the whole process then starts all over again. Let's draw a more accurate diagram of the heart. Here's the left-hand side of the heart, and we'll add on the right-hand side of the heart. So here's a top chamber, which is the atrium, and it's on the left-hand side, so it's the left atrium. Here's the right atrium. Underneath it is the right ventricle. And yes, you've guessed it, this one is the left ventricle. So now you can see the 4 chambers of the heart. The blood that enters the right atrium is deoxygenated because it's just given all of the oxygen to the cells of the body. The right atrium contracts and pushes this blood into the right ventricle. There are muscles in the walls of the right atrium and right ventricle, but they need to be stronger in the ventricle because the ventricle needs to pump the blood a lot further. When the muscles of the right ventricle contract, it pushes blood up and out of the right ventricle. This blood travels to the lungs where it picks up oxygen and becomes oxygenated blood. The oxygenated blood then comes back to the left side of the heart and enters the left atrium. The muscles of the left atrium contract, making the left atrium smaller and forcing the blood into the left ventricle. The left ventricle has got thicker muscles than the right ventricle because the left ventricle needs to push the blood further. It needs to give the blood enough pressure to go all the way around the body rather than just to the lungs. When the muscles of the left ventricle contracts, this increases the pressure in the left ventricle and forces the blood out of the heart and off around the body. You might have spotted that there are 2 different tubes that come out of the heart, one from the left ventricle, one from the right ventricle. One of these carries oxygenated blood and the other one carries deoxygenated blood. You might know that blood travels around our body in tubes called blood vessels. Some of these blood vessels are called arteries. Arteries are hollow tubes with thick walls and they carry blood away from the heart. To remember this, I always think of A for artery and A for away from the heart. Because these 2 blood vessels are carrying blood away from the heart, they're both arteries. So we can label them both as an artery. This artery is called the aorta. The aorta carries oxygenated blood away from the heart to the body. When you see the word pulmonary, try to think of the lungs. The pulmonary artery carries blood away from the heart to the lungs. Veins are another example of a blood vessel. Veins carry blood towards the heart. This blood is at lower pressure, so the veins have thinner walls than arteries. There are 2 veins on our diagram of the heart. The vein that brings deoxygenated blood back from the body is called the vena cava. The vein that brings oxygenated blood back to the heart from the lungs is called the pulmonary vein. Remember, the word pulmonary relates to lungs. I really hope you're finding this video helpful. If you are, then please do click subscribe. It will help you to find my other videos. We've covered a lot today, so before we finish, let's try to draw it all together by describing the journey of blood around the body and through the heart. We'll start here. The deoxygenated blood has just arrived back at the heart from the body. The blood enters the right atrium through travelling down the vena cava. The right atrium then contracts, forcing blood into the right ventricle. Shortly afterwards, the right ventricle contracts, forcing blood out of the right ventricle and up out of the heart through the pulmonary artery. It's worth mentioning here that the heart contains valves to make sure that the blood only flows in the correct one-way direction. There's a valve between the atrium and the ventricle to make sure that when the ventricle squeezes, the blood doesn't go back up into the atrium. The blood also passes through a valve on its way out of the right ventricle. This prevents the blood going back down into the ventricle. You can see that there are also valves on the left-hand side of the heart. There's one here and one here. Now let's get back to that blood that's just left through the pulmonary artery. The blood's deoxygenated, so it goes to the lungs to pick up oxygen. When the blood leaves the lungs, it's become oxygenated. The blood now returns to the left-hand side of the heart through the pulmonary vein. It flows into the left atrium. The left atrium contracts, forcing blood through the valve into the left ventricle. Soon after, the left ventricle contracts, forcing blood up through the aorta. The aorta carries blood off to the rest of the body. The cells of the body absorb oxygen from the blood, and this means that the blood becomes deoxygenated again. And now the deoxygenated blood flows through the vena cava into the right atrium, which is back where we started. If you've reached this point in the video, you are doing really well. So to reward you, I'll finish off by putting together some questions so you can check how much you've understood. Let's look again at this diagram of the heart. I've labelled 5 different parts of the diagram, and I'm going to ask you a question about each part. Here's your first question. So part A, does that carry oxygenated or deoxygenated blood? Question 2, can you name part B? Question 3, can you name part C? And number 4, can you name part D? And then finally, question 5, can you explain the function or job of part E? The answer's coming up very soon, so pause the video now if you need more time to think. Learning key definitions that you can write out in exam questions is a really good way to boost your grades. If you want some more help with this, you might want to check out the resources I've produced, which are linked below. So number 1, part A carries deoxygenated blood because it's the right hand side of the heart. Question 2, B is the right ventricle. Part C is the artery that leaves the left-hand side of the heart, so that's the aorta. And D is the left atrium because it's at the top and it's on the left-hand side. And part E is a valve, and the valve ensures that blood flows in one direction only and doesn't flow back from the ventricle into the atrium. How well did you do? Comment below and let me know. If you didn't get it all the first time, don't worry, it is quite a lot to remember, so just watch it again and keep doing that until you've got all of the key points. Well done for reaching this point in the video. If you haven't got it all yet, then don't worry, just go back and watch it again until you've got all of the key ideas. And if you think you've got that hang of this one, then why not watch this video next? Hope to see you soon.